morning. I'd like to call the Town of Naples Ordinance Review Committee meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, August 20th. In attendance, we have Mark Clement, Craig Shackness, myself, Martina Witz, Larry Anton, and from the Planning Office, we have Kathy Eddy and Kathy Tombarelli. So, following the agenda, we have some items that we're going to discuss that we would like to get final language for to put on the November referendum.
Yes, we also have minutes that
Minutes.
I didn't know they're not on the agenda because I didn't know that they were
No.
ready, but we can add that
Okay.
to the agenda.
Let's do the
From
minutes.
July.
That's my omission.
Okay, sorry. I did read them. So. Does anyone have any comments on the minutes?
No.
Okay.
Anyone want me a motion to approve them?
Sure.
I move that we approve the minutes from the July 16th, 2025 meeting.
A second.
Great. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we're going on to item 3, which is the November referendum final language for various ordinances. And the agenda includes subdivision fire suppression, subdivision performance guarantee phasing, removal, delete data diagrams, procedure for amendments of existing subdivision, height dimensional standards, and cell phone tower definition. So we'll start at the beginning, subdivision fire suppression.
Yeah, that starts on page 105 of the big subsection 1000 subdivision. It's on page 105.
Is it on page? That doesn't seem like that's the beginning.
Just the fire suppression is, it looks like, it would be section of the ordinance. Let me give you the ordinance reference. Hold on.
Just realizing the packet is not in the order of the agenda.
So 100, yeah, because I just printed out the entire subdivision ordinance.
1004 review procedure.
It's 1008 design standards, 1008 8, which is
Oh, okay.
on page 105.
Yep.
Well, there's a couple 105s.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the
Yeah.
top. Okay.
So when we had talked about it last, we had talked about separating the drinking water from the fire protection portion of it. So I took a stab at it. And I had the chief weigh in. I would like to have him, before we make it available to the public, I would like to have his final stamp of approval, but I covered all the stuff that he talked about. So we have it listed as, we don't have public water right now, but our ordinance addresses public water right now. So I took an 8A, instead of calling it water supply, I did public water and addressed both fire protection and potable water in that section. We don't have that right now. We might in the future. It's kind of a placeholder. And then I tried to save as much of our language as possible. And then I kind of added to it as well. And there was some references to like the Manual for Engineering of Public Drinking Water, 1969. That's been amended a couple times since then. So I tried to take care of that. Did you find it?
Yep. No,
Okay,
I got
good.
it. So,
I still hear pages shuffling.
so does everybody have it?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess so.
So you're taking out,
Yeah.
before it just generally referenced water supply.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few.
Oh, and fire suppression, should say. Another page.
So as I was reading it, I like the fact that it was separated out of public water and drinking water.
Yeah. Well, it's divided, section 8 is public water.
Yeah.
Section 9 is private water, which is what we have right now.
Right.
Is private water. And then below private water, I separated it out to drinking water and fire suppression. That way it kind of, because before they were all lumped together in one section.
Right.
So 7, keep going.
Okay. So do you want, does everybody have it?
No.
No, okay.
We need to come over there and
Yeah, it
help you
looks
too,
like
Ms.
this.
Chagnon.
Yeah, I know, I got,
There's like 3 105s.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Like 4.
there's a number 9 at the bottom.
Don't pay attention, you know what happened?
This is what we're looking at.
Right.
Oh.
I understand.
Trying to
Oh,
find
you're
out.
looking for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't,
I thought we went too
Look for
far.
one out.
It goes from like one,
There you are, sir.
Yeah, don't pay
It
too
started
much attention
here.
to the page numbers,
Okay.
because I
Oh.
think what happened is the
Oh,
PDF
there's five.
renumbered it.
Okay.
There you
Okay.
go.
all right.
So,
Sorry, Craig,
just-
I
yeah.
steered you wrong.
so now public water is section 8, and it's going to read, when a subdivision is to be served by a public water system, the complete water supply system within the subdivision, including drinking water and fire suppression supply, must be installed, meeting all national, state, and local standards at the expense of the applicant.
And we don't have that right now, so I just want to keep it as simple as that.
Okay.
Until such a time that we have a public
might.
supply, if we do.
Okay. Then there's a new section 9, which is private water, and then that's divided into drinking water and fire suppression. So the drinking water section says, when a proposed subdivision is not served by public water, drinking water supply shall be from individual wells. Due to the increased chance of contamination from surface water, dug wells shall not be permitted.
So that combined a couple, you had that kind of in two lines, and I kind of combined that.
I have a question. on
Sure.
that. If somebody is developing a subdivision, they can have one central well?
Yes,
Well, that doesn't seem like it fits.
that's taken care of in E, under what, you had your own definition, you had one already there. If you look at the next page.
Yeah, central water supply system is under E.
And that one actually has a different set of standards that you guys had already addressed in here. I added all state and local requirements, and then I put the EPA manual for evaluating drinking water, public health service, as amended from time to time, because they update that.
Yeah, so they'd have to be using the most current.
Current one.
Okay, so that is addressed. Then the 9A, 2, the drinking water supply shall be designed and installed in accordance with requirements from the Maine Department of Health, that's supposed to be health, it says heal.
Oh, health,
Yeah,
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was one that you guys already had in there. I just moved it up.
Okay. And 3, lots shall be designed to accommodate the placement of wells and septic systems meeting the requirements of the state of Maine subsurface wastewater disposal rules and well driller and pump installer rules, which generally require a 100-foot separation between wells and septic
That should be a
systems.
small s. Yep.
Additional restrictions on well locations may be required per hydrogeologic assessments and other applicable regulations. That's important because the state's looking
I have
at
an opening
changing.
here too, if that's better for you, if you want to come over.
Then I can see everybody.
Okay.
Okay. Because with the extremely well-drained soils are actually showing to cause a problem.
I pulled that from another town, and that was designed to give the planning board a little teeth on requiring the hydrogeological assessment,
Yeah.
particularly since you have smaller lot sizes
Yeah.
in Naples.
That's good. The next one is the planning board may require the subdivider to demonstrate by engineering reports prepared by a civil engineer registered in the state of Maine that the proposed subdivision will not result in an undue burden on the source.
That was already in
Now,
there.
we always have that in there.
Yeah, you already had that.
I wish I understood at what point, though, that the planning board can say
Yeah.
that you're demonstrating an undue burden on the source, because I don't know.
How do you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to address that in the ordinance.
I think the hydrogeologic report does cover a lot of that, but this gives you the ability to ask for more if there's any question.
Something we could. Okay.
Yeah. I like, in a lot of towns, for any major subdivision, they're pretty much gonna say, yeah, you gotta do the hydrogeologic, and what I like about that is that typically there'll be the well inclusion and well exclusion, and they do their best to have, if all the wells are on the front, and it's uphill, then all the septics are on the rear, it makes it clear. So, yeah, I didn't wanna take out all of your language
No,
there.
no, that's good. I just want to make a comment so that
Yeah.
the AI record can show that Sue Fleck joined us at 9:10. Hi, Sue.
I see.
Okay, then the other new section, so we're deleting that water supply because it didn't address, I've lost my place again. Sorry. Nope. Fire suppression. That's where we're going to. Okay. The developer shall, so this is all new.
Yes.
Because we always used to talk about cisterns and things like that, but I guess it was never really clearly articulated in the ordinance
That's
in this way.
correct. And the one thing that, fire ponds weren't specifically excluded. This doesn't this specifically does not include fire ponds, which they do not want to use anymore. You can still use your old fire pond.
Right.
You know, that's grandfathered, if you will, but no new ones in subdivision.
Okay.
What about dry hydrants?
I think that would be included, the dry hydrant to the cistern, you mean?
Dry hydrants going down into a body of water.
Those are still allowed, that's a good point.
So
I
do
don't,
we-
let me see if it's covered a little bit further down. An easement granting access to hydrants or reservoirs. That's a good question,
So those are officially called a dry hydrant?
Yeah.
yeah.
So if that would have to be added, it would be added under, as a fourth bullet, maybe, where it says fire hydrants? Well, would it fall under fire hydrants?
Hydrants, yeah.
Or do we have to specifically?
Let's put dry hydrants as a fourth, and I'll run it
Okay.
by the chief.
All right,
And if you're okay with it, if he says it should be included, we'll include it. Because they do use that, but I don't know if that's something that they want to encourage, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
They use them currently, definitely.
well, it would,
Probably dry today.
Yeah.
I got 2 wells that are dry, so.
Yeah, wow.
well, would a dry hydrant only go to a water body source? Like not a,
Yeah,
would like a lake or a
and typically,
pond,
and
yeah.
the town does have those
Like
that
we
they
have-
access.
Like Tricky Pond.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have one.
Yeah.
We're talking- Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
I
ask.
gotcha.
Yeah, like
Well, we
that.
have them down on the causeway.
yeah. I mean, it would make sense to allow them in
Yeah,
a town in the Lakes region, I guess. I don't know.
but we're talking specifically subdivision. or,
Right,
you know,
but like, but
yeah.
if a subdivision is adjacent to
Adjacent
a
to
water
a water
body,
body.
yeah,
I would say that if they're within whatever the state standard is
Standard
of
is,
that dry
yeah.
hydrant, that would count for their.
And that makes me wonder about number 2, whether or not it should be fire hydrants and dry hydrants. No, that's, no, why does that say connected to, we need to address that, connected to a public water supply. I wonder if it needs to be both, fire,
Public.
yeah.
okay. So we have some questions. All right, let's read this. So the developer shall provide adequate fire protection by one or more of the following methods, meeting all applicable national, state, local standards, and approved by the Naples Fire Department. Fire hydrant, underground reservoir cisterns, and/or sprinkler systems, and now we're questioning whether or not we want to add dry hydrant there.
Right.
Or
Okay,
dry
and then-
hydrants should be just under fire
Or,
hydrant.
or
Yeah.
if it should be part of that, so that's the
Yeah,
question.
fire/dry hydrants.
Oh, you
Yeah,
could do it in one.
that could be that
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, fire hydrants connected to a public water supply shall be located such that no building is more than 500 feet from a hydrant. Hydrants or other provisions for drafting water shall meet the specifications of the Naples Fire Department.
I think the other provisions in this definition took in consideration of dry hydrants, because I stole this from another town.
Okay.
I always do.
Yeah,
So that,
And I have a
Because-
feeling, but maybe it should say, other provisions kind of cover it too. And right now, we don't have public water, again,
okay.
right. Yeah,
but a dry hydrant might be a public
right.
dry hydrant too.
Right.
I wonder,
Hydrant would be
I don't want to add
public water 'cause everybody owns it.
complications, but I wonder if should we have a definition of hydrants, and then we can say that it
Oh,
includes
yeah,
all
then,
these
then- yeah,
things?
then you can just say,
I don't know. Is that necessary? I don't know.
I don't think so. I didn't see
Okay.
it in any other town that they defined those.
3, a suitable access way to the hydrant or other water source shall be constructed, meeting the requirements of the Naples Fire Department. An easement shall be granted to the town of Naples granting access to hydrants or reservoirs. 4, for underground reservoirs, a minimum storage of 15,000 gallons shall be provided. Additional storage may be required by the planning board upon recommendation of the Naples Fire Department based on factors such as distance to a secondary water supply. Is that 15,000 gallons larger? Is that a new size?
They didn't have a size in here, and I know that all the subdivisions that we've done so far, he has started with 15,000.
Okay.
Some towns do 10, some do 12. 15,000 ended up being less expensive because of the way that it was designed for one of the subdivisions. So they did 15 instead of 10 because the shape of the.
The shape.
It's, yeah.
Okay.
So, but once again, I talked to the chief about it yesterday, we went over it, but I want to give him the final, it's with your edits,
Okay,
and then make sure that we're square.
okay. And then the last, section 5 there, the cost associated with the maintenance or replacement of all fire protection components is the responsibility of the individual lot owners or homeowners association.
I wanted to add that to make it clear.
So once it's turned over?
Once it's turned over,
Yeah. he's
where the town's
free and
not
clear.
doing, the town can come test it via the easement that they have.
Yep.
And they can access the water, but they're not responsible for fixing it.
Should that say somehow that, because it could be the contractor,
Could be the developer.
it could be the developer for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
That they don't turn that over. So we don't want to exempt them by leaving them out of
Yeah.
responsibility.
So developer, comma, individual lot owners or the homeowners association.
Developer, yeah.
Yeah, developer.
Lot owners. Okay. Okay, is there any other comments on subdivision fire suppression? Okay, then,
I think it makes it more concise. I also think it makes it more, developers like to know what they have to do. You know, it's more of a bullet checklist. I didn't want to get overly complicated. Some towns said additional 1,000 gallons per lot, or an additional 2,000 gallons per lots over X amount of lots in a subdivision. The problem with that is that, why not just give the fire chief discretion? If he's got a dry hydrant somewhere, or it's close to the fire department, maybe he doesn't need that much water in the ground. So what was happening in Gray and another town is now you're having to get a waiver from the planning board to do less than what was in the ordinance. So I didn't want to make it overly complicated, do you know what I mean? And say,
Right.
okay, for 10 lots and more, you gotta have X amount and more water. It just seemed cumbersome to me.
at what point, and again, this
Yeah.
only comes to front of mind because we're doing so many
Subdivisions.
subdivisions of subdivisions.
Yeah,
At what point,
That's a good point.
when a subdivision gets like, there's a 10-acre lot in an existing subdivision, now they're gonna redevelop that 10-acre lot into another 8
Right.
lots. At what point do we say that the initial fire suppression was not adequate?
enough. Yeah, that's a good question. Is that when you trigger a major subdivision? You know, for existing subdivisions, for existing subdivisions approved prior to fire suppression ordinance, once you, when you trigger a major subdivision, you must provide, I don't know, they're trying to think aloud here.
I know. Well, first of all, it has to come back to the planning board, so we know it has to be reviewed.
Right. Well, how we have been doing it
Yeah.
is any new lots that we've been requiring a sprinkler. So they could choose a fire hydrant, they could choose an underground reservoir or a sprinkler system. But what we have been doing is when they come back, the new lots, we're not making them go back and tell the people that have 3 lots already, they've already built their house. Oh,
Right.
by the way, you gotta go in and
But
put a
we've
sprinkler.
gotten some pushback from
Yeah.
one developer
Yeah.
recently who said, well, where does it say this in your ordinance? And your
Yeah.
response was, well, our conversation with the fire chief.
Well, there was one line in here somewhere that said something about the Naples fire chief. And so we kind of hang our hat on that.
Okay.
For new lots that they would have to provide, because it does say that you need fire protection. And so we kind of hung our hat on that and said, all right, we're going to just draw the line. The old lots are
Well,
not.
would it make sense to just have a bullet statement that any I don't even know what the
Yeah, it's a-
what, is subject to, fire suppression will be subject to review, or increased fire protection may be, expanded fire protection may be required, per review of the Naples Fire Chief or something?
For amendments to previous subdivisions, something like that.
Additional lots.
For
You see what I'm
additional
trying to
lots.
avoid?
Yeah.
Right, because an
Yeah,
amendment
that's
might
what
be.
it
Could be a
if
lot
somebody
line
trying-
change.
Right,
Yeah.
additional lots,
Yes.
may require, additional lots may require additional fire suppression.
For amendments to previously approved subdivisions.
Yeah.
Let's do that for 6, let's wordsmith that. Amendments to previous subdivisions for additional lots. I'm writing this. Previously approved.
Previously approved, yeah.
Subdivisions for additional lots may require, or for more lots instead of additional, or
Amendments to previously approved
subdivision.
subdivisions that result
Dwelling
in
units, it's the
addition.
dwelling units you care about.
Yeah,
Not
lots
so much
or
the lot.
dwelling
Well, you have,
units.
yeah, you can't approve a subdivision for potential homes unless it meets its right?
Yeah.
Once the planning board approves a lot, you have to assume it's buildable and everything's gonna meet its
Yes.
standards.
So additional lots or dwelling units. And ADUs don't count as a dwelling unit, so we're not running into problems with the state law.
Right.
Additional lots or dwelling units may require additional
Or you could say expanded, or if you don't wanna use additional again.
fire protection. Should we add, as
The fire,
recommended by Naples Fire Chief,
Yeah,
as a Naples Fire
because I
Department?
think he would be the one that, he or
Yes.
she would have to be the one that says that. I don't feel like a planning board would
No.
know enough to know.
By Naples Fire Department.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea. Now, well, I'll try to find.
Performance, you're just gonna flip two
Yeah, you
pages
just gotta
over.
flip two
Now-
pages.
Now we're going to subdivision performance guarantees.
Yep,
slash
two pages.
phasing.
okay.
And actually,
126, is it page 126?
Yeah, it has
Yeah,
a
and
one
it's big.
twenty-six at the bottom.
Yeah, and there's a big red section.
Does everybody have it?
so we talked about this definition at the last meeting.
126, you said.
Yeah.
Phasing
Yes.
of developments. And that was because we had talked about how, some people, the performance guarantee is huge for some of these subdivisions.
Right.
And in the event that someone wanted to phase it into two or more phases, then they could post a performance guarantee for just the phase that's being developed. That gives them some capital to get going on their subdivision without having to go and get a bond for, $500,000.
So this
Which
is,
I would think that would lend itself to more affordable housing, because
Yeah,
the subdivision that you have to go get that size of bond
Yeah.
is not gonna be a $350,000 house. It's
No.
gonna be $1 million home.
yeah.
So in an attempt to try to keep things affordable, I think the phasing,
It also protects both the town and the developer because, someone gets approval for a 26 lot subdivision, they build a house, the economy tanks. Now they've got this bond that's gonna end up expiring in 2 years. They may not be able to get another bond because of the current situation or their finances have changed. So it worked really well in another town I worked in. They get preliminary plan approval for all the phases. So they're under that ordinance, they don't have to change, but they only get final approval on the portion of the subdivision that they're bonding. It just makes a lot of sense. We don't have a lot of, 26, 27 lot subdivisions here, but it also helps a smaller or newer developer do it as well, because I've had several occasions where very good builder decides they want to do a subdivision and now they're having a hard time getting their performance guarantee because it's their first one or they're new to the subdivision game. And it also, I think it protects the town as well.
I think that the fire suppression section, if you need underground storage,
Yeah,
you have to make it large enough to cover the whole subdivision
that's a good point.
when they start.
So I think potentially,
well, what we've been doing is not granting any certificates of occupancy until the fire suppression is in
Yeah.
place for whatever phase is.
phase that's in.
So-
Agreed.
They're not gonna
Cistern
put
is
in separate
installed and
cisterns
running.
Well, sometimes they do. I have one in Gray that, Long Hill Road that has 5 different cisterns, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10, because of the length of the road. And so they found it actually more economical to put the smaller ones in. So you can do that, but they need to have fire suppression for whatever phase they're in. But that would be part of the overall plan. A lot of developers are opting for sprinkler systems now. It was very unpopular at first, but they've decided that they can pass that cost off to the individual house, builder.
To the homeowners.
I'll just read the phasing develop. So this is an all-new section, and it's number 4. Phasing developments. The board may approve plans to develop a major subdivision in separate and distinct phases. This may be accomplished by limiting final approval to those lots abutting that section of the proposed subdivision street, which is covered by a performance guarantee. I just read that, and I don't know what I just read. Does anyone else, is anyone else confused by that? This may be, 126. I'm just going to read it
There's a
again.
whole bunch of
Oh,
126s.
one that looks like this.
Yeah, I don't know why it numbered it, I think it auto-numbered it
It was
when I did it to
right
PDF or something.
It was 2 pages past the one that we were just on.
That's where we were just at.
Yeah, 2 pages, it's 2
From the
pages after the
previous one?
fire.
Yeah.
2 pages after the
I
fire
took them out
suppression.
so that I wouldn't have to look for them again.
Okay, there are 2 126s. It's this one and
This
this
is all
one.
those ones.
That was the third 126.
Yeah, the table of
It's
contents.
the
of
third 126?
No, it's this one, it's the first one.
The table of contents and page numbers are set to
Got it.
auto.
Got it?
Phasing
Okay.
of development.
Yeah, all right.
Got it.
So I'll just start from the beginning because I find it confusing. It was a long sentence. The board may approve plans to develop a major subdivision in separate and distinct phases. Okay, that makes sense. This may be accomplished by limiting final approval to those lots abutting that section of the proposed subdivision street, which is covered by the performance guarantee.
So what it's saying is you can only build houses where the road is bonded, where you've got a performance guarantee for that section of the road. So
Okay.
you can't build it at the very end
Oh.
if the whole road's not bonded.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Right, okay.
Final approval of lots and subsequent phases shall be given only upon satisfactory completion of all requirements pertaining to previous phases and with posting of a new performance guarantee for the next phase. Okay. Preliminary subdivision approval of all development phases in a phased subdivision shall establish vested rights against future ordinance changes, provided that adequate design documentation is submitted to verify that all project phases meet all ordinance requirements in effect at the time of final approval of the final project phase.
First project phase.
First project phase, sorry.
So all it's saying
But-
is you have vested rights. If you have preliminary plan, it's kind of a long-winded sentence.
Yeah.
When you have a partial subdivision done,
Yeah.
what about the turnaround required by the fire department?
Typically, you'll have a temporary turnaround. And a lot of times, the temporary turnaround will be the driveway for the next lot that's coming. So they provide a temporary turnaround that goes away when they keep going.
All right, so this whole very long last sentence is just about, in case they've already started the subdivision, and now we've changed an ordinance, but they don't have to
Do it
abide by
again.
any changed ordinances. They're
Yeah,
all
make it
set.
simpler.
Because they already have their budget.
Because they already have, I mean, because it's already been approved. It's kind of like any other project. I mean, it's like when you do a site plan for a commercial thing, we can change the ordinances, but they've already been
They've already
approved.
been
So
approved.
that's, this
It's the
this
same
all
thing.
thing is just saying you're held harmless.
Yeah, it's just telling you that you've built phase one
Yeah.
according to the standard.
Right.
If it takes you another year to get to 2, 3, 4, 5, you're still got vested rights in preliminary.
Okay.
And you have to come back for the final plan approval. You've only got preliminary for the other phases. So you come back after phase one's done, you finalize, maybe they want to do 2 and 3
Okay.
and get a performance bond. But you're not going to make them change everything.
Right.
You're just gonna come in for your performance bond. We're done with this. The planning board determines that it's satisfactorily completed.
Right.
They get their next one. Maybe they do all the next 3. Maybe the economy's so great, they do all 3.
And that's based on town ordinances. What if the
State.
state changes something? And like, let's say this whole thing takes 3 years and now some state law has changed that significantly could,
like affordable housing or the number of lots or
Or
dwelling
just some
units.
environmental issue, I don't know. It could be anything.
I still think they have vested
They do?
They have vested interests
Okay.
based on they've already got their approval. Yeah.
Okay.
This is typical in a lot of towns. I don't think we run into this a whole heck of a lot because we don't have large subdivisions typically, but it could happen.
Does anybody have any other comments about this phasing developments paragraph change? No? All right.
The one thing I'm pondering is that they would have to mark, have a visual marker for the end of the bonding.
What do you mean? No.
So when you go to the property, there would be a red post at the end of a road that's been cut in
Yeah.
that would indicate this is the end of the approved subdivision.
Yeah.
A visual marker for that.
Say from here to here is done, and then to go from here to here to finish it.
You mean that the bond applies so that we can connect the actual bond to the actual
Well, I've been into a
geography
lot of
the thing?
subdivisions where you've got a road that sure looks like the part of the road they're developing. And then you get a lot of people that want to go, oh, I want to be up there.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, a house pops up where it's
Further
not supposed to
down.
be.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
see.
if there was a marker on the road that indicated end of current plan, phase one.
Well, so how would you get a permit? How would that even happen, though? If
I don't know how it happens.
It could, I mean,
Silly
if
me,
the code officer doesn't know.
Yeah, so on the subdivision plan, it should show phase one, lots
Right.
1 through whatever it is, and then phase 2, phase
Right.
3. That what shouldn't happen, what should happen is that phase should be put into the new property files, and there shouldn't be property files for the rest of the lots yet.
Right.
And that way the code officer knows, hey, wait a second, what's going on here? That assumes that there's continuity between code officers and the staff.
That's
But it should, and it also, that shall run on the plan, phase 1 is 1 through 5, or whatever it is. I don't know that we say that in a definition, or in a ordinance, but I think it's part of the review process. As part of the review process, the planning board can say that needs to be clearly demarked where the end of each phase is, as part of the review.
And maybe also when they're submitting their permits, they have to submit a copy of like the phase 1, or the phase 2, or the phase 3, so then the code officer kind of knows
It has to be to
What's
an
going
approved
on.
lot. It has to be to a lot that is
to a lot
approved.
within that
Yeah.
phase, right?
And they can't sell lots in the
In
other
the other,
section.
yeah, I do that as a condition of approval, no transfer of title until that phase is approved. Because now you've got a lot owner, they've sold it to a lot, and the lot owner can't get a building permit. So no transfer of title or building permits will be issued on subsequent phases until,
That's where they get their seed money, is when you seed lot reservation, yeah.
yeah. So that's the purpose of phasing, really, because at least they can start selling lots, because they can't get a performance guarantee for the whole thing, but at least they can sell lots in this first phase, get their money, seed money, and then maybe when they're done with this much, guess what, they've got enough money in their pocket that they can just bond the rest of it at the same time. I've seen that happen, where they come in for 1, and then now guess what, they want to do 2 and 3, because they're all set, they got the money to keep going.
So are we still okay with this paragraph, or do we find it
I think it's
necessary to?
fine.
Okay,
I was just
okay.
thinking about that visual.
So there's more related to this, a couple pages on another page, 126.
Okay.
I really don't have any clue why I did that. So go 2 more pages ahead.
Yeah,
Amendment to previously approved subdivision plan.
no, it's where it says 12, I think.
Yeah, 12, reduction of guarantee. This is more related to anybody else. And you guys already had this.
Final three at the top.
So we're taking out, first of all these, just please note the changes are, all the numbered paragraphs have changed because we have added that other paragraph,
Yeah.
right? That's why that's all.
That's all that's happened, and then there was some just edits, grammar and spelling edits along the way.
So the reduction of the guarantee, the town may release, so we're taking out planning board, so now it's in your office. Is that what we're saying?
I just think it's
Okay.
onerous to have to come to a
Yeah,
planning board
yeah.
meeting.
I mean,
Yeah. And this is talking about basically any subdivision, you guys had the threshold of 90% complete, and I wonder if that's competing with the other. On satisfactory completion, I think that still works. So you had 90% complete as determined by the planning board. I put planning staff, because none of us really know. What we really need is the itemized cost estimate, right? From an engineer saying, this is what's done, and this is how much is remaining. So I think that your old definition works pretty well. I just added that they need to have the engineer bring something in to look at.
Okay.
And the engineer comes in and says, yep, they're finished, they're ready to get moving on with or they would like to reduce their escrow by X amount. And I like the fact that you have the performance guarantee, the remaining is 150%. I like that instead of 100%, because costs go up. What happens if this happened, I think 3 or 4 subdivisions where they were halfway done, 2007 hit, and they sat there and didn't get finished. So the new bond needs to be 150, or the new bond to cover the rest of the phases needs to be more than 100%, because prices don't typically go down.
Okay. Is everybody okay with this change here? Okay.
So that's it for that.
3B is done.
So now we're moving on
Keep going.
to the,
Just keep flipping pages.
Just go to the
to
very
the
end.
remove and delete dated diagrams in the subdivision order. They
Way at
start
the
from
end,
back.
right?
Yeah.
Move their way forward.
Yeah.
I know what those
So
are.
we
Right at
talked
the end.
about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the very back to the beginning, you can find them.
Thank you,
Better
Vanna.
if
We
go from
talked
the back
about
to the
this,
front.
and we already agreed to get rid of all of those diagrams that are dated.
I never read them. I just looked at the chart.
Are they being replaced with
They're not
something
being
more?
replaced with anything.
Just the verbiage that's in the ordinance?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because nobody was ever looking at them, and
Some of them are changed, updated.
they're outdated, and we don't have the technology to do it ourselves here. And everybody knows, I mean, engineers are doing these plans. They know what a site plan looks like, and they know.
But I
If it-
think if we delete
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
this is where minor street is identified. It's the only place in our ordinance that it is identified,
I think
unless there's been a change.
there is, hold on. Let's see if I can find it. In a table, I think there's a table A, the appendix A, that we're still leaving in.
It says
The
right, yeah.
design
we are-
standards.
It's the beginning of that section. It has arterial streets, collector streets, and minor
Yeah.
streets. in this
Yeah,
table.
so we have the table that, this was just a visual of the table, and it's been copied so many times that the quality of it has gone downhill too. It's been saved so many times as PDF. So appendix A, design and construction standards for streets is still in there, which looks like this.
Yeah, that's good. All right, I think we're good on that one? Yeah. Any other comments on that change? Okay. So procedures for amendments to existing subdivision.
That's the page before, which looks like this.
Is it 1013?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the third 126, or
Yeah.
the second
Yeah.
126, I don't know.
So weird.
Okay, so those are all 3 new, so this whole 1013 is
Is new, and it's at the
all-
end, and the reason why I put it to the end is because it seems like that comes after final approval and filing. They have to record it at the registry. Enforcement, appeals, so there's all of that. And then what happens if 2 years later they decide they want to add another lot? And that's what this is kind of dealing with. Or they want to change a lot line, or whatever it is. And then we have 2 thresholds, minor basically, they have to it just says that you have to come back. And then if it kicks it into major, and this kind of talks about the other stuff that we were talking about earlier, if proposed modifications result in 5 or more lots or dwelling units, the procedure for a major subdivision shall be followed.
I had a question about that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about time frame. So what would trigger that? What if you did 3, someone expanded to 3 more lots 1 year, and then 3 lots the next year, that's 6. So now it would be,
3-year lots in a 5-year period, which
so
is
like
current.
3 plus 3 would be 6. So
Six.
so they're circumventing the whole major
By
subdivision.
doing two
Two-
minor
two,
subdivisions,
yes.
2 minor subdivisions, kind of like what's happening right now, where you,
Yes.
yeah, you do that.
It's all about what's
Except
going through right
except for that they're doing a major subdivision, so they're doing major subdivision, in this case, they're dividing the lot into 7 lots.
Well, that case, but what
So-
if you could technically
Me-
do a 3 and 3?
Technically not,
you not?
because you're looking at the parent parcel, and the parent parcel, you create 3 lots within a 5-year period, it's a major subdivision.
So is that, so where is
Five,
that?
4, I'm sorry, in this town, it's more than 4, it's 4 or more.
So that is in the ordinance
Yeah,
somewhere.
5 or
It puts a
more. Let me-
time frame on there?
Sorry, let me just look real quick to make sure how you guys define major subdivision. Every town's slightly different.
Are you looking at the
Subdivision.
definition?
Subdivision major,
Yeah.
containing 4 or more lots. So maybe, why did I do 5 there? Is it because the state's changing the rule to 5 lots?
So they are, that's one
5
of the
dwelling
things they're
units. Hold on.
changing. Well, subdivision, amazing, containing more lots. So, yeah,
Oh, yours is more than 4 lots. It's not 4 or more lots. So the 5th lot triggers major here.
it says any subdivision containing more than 4 lots.
More than 4 lots, yep. So it's
So
not
that would mean
the
not
5th lot.
Fifth lot.
The
The
fifth
5th
lot.
lot. Yeah, the other towns I worked for, it was 4 or more. Yours says more than 4.
More than four.
more than 4,
Yeah.
so that would be the 5th. So how did, am I overthinking this again?
I think you are, because if they create, it's kind of like the minor subdivision that we did. They had 2 lots, they just wanted to make 1 more lot. Why do I have to come to subdivision? Because the other lot was created 2 years ago, so now you've got 3 or more lots in a 5-year period. It would be the same thing with major. If they come in and if they do 5 lots in a 5-year period, it's a major subdivision. So you would
Okay.
trigger major subdivision review.
Okay,
Even if they put it at different entities, we look at the parent parcel. We're looking at the land, not the entities. So a lot of times, someone buys a lot, and now the person who owns the parent lot says, well, I want to divide off another lot. Well, guess what? You've just sucked that other person into subdivision when they weren't into a subdivision in the first place. Now they're in a subdivision.
where is that 5-year period referenced in the,
That's state statute.
oh, okay.
3
So
lots
we
in a
don't have
5-year
it
period,
here, okay.
which they're toying around with changing.
Right.
They've already changed, they've already in the process of changing. It was 3 lots or dwelling units in a 5-year period. They talked about changing that to 5 lots or 5 dwelling units in a 5-year period. Right now, what passed in law was they left the 3 lots, but they changed it to 5 dwelling units. So you could do.
ADUs,
Yeah, so they didn't change the lots, no, not the ADUs, because
Oh.
they don't count.
Oh, no, multiple.
They're saying multifamily, they can allow multifamily. It's still going through rule making, and that's on the end of my agenda, so.
That must be for
On
they're
that
doing
last
that in an effort for affordable.
Affordable housing, correct.
On the last sentence there, somebody who is not familiar with reading ordinances
Yeah.
could be misled here.
Are you talking about scope of review?
I would say if the proposed modification results in a total of 5 or more lots in the
Where are you looking?
the last sentence.
Under
Oh,
scope,
I'm sorry, okay.
Under
scope of
one.
review?
No,
Under the minor
Minor
subdivision?
subdivision.
Oh, minor,
Yes.
oh,
you say it results in 5 or more lots. Somebody can read that saying, well, I'm not creating 5 or more lots. So I would, if I was writing, I would say in a total of 5 or more lots. You know,
Cumulatively.
right, to show that they gotta add the existing lots to it.
If the proposed cumulative results, the
Yeah.
proposed modifications result cumulatively,
Yeah, because
cumulatively
he's saying
in
Right.
5 or
The
more lots.
5th one triggers it,
Yeah.
but you're only adding 1.
Yeah,
Right.
cumulatively.
okay.
Somebody's gonna come and say, I only want to add one more.
Right, gotcha.
Okay, that's good.
Boy, you think like a developer.
All right, so that whole section, the minor subdivision plan says, prior to making any proposed revision to a minor subdivision plan approved by the board, the plan must be submitted to the board for their review and approval of the proposed modifications. If the proposed modifications result in cumulatively, no, that's not how.
Cumulatively
Well,
result.
cumulatively result
Yeah.
in 5 or more lots or dwelling units, the procedures for a major subdivision shall be followed. Okay, then under 2, major subdivision plans, prior to making any proposed revision to a major subdivision plan approved by the board, the plan must be resubmitted for their review and approval. If the revision involves the creation of additional lots or dwelling units, the procedures for the preliminary and final plan approval shall be followed. If the revision involves only modifications of the approved plan without the creation of additional lots or dwelling units, the procedures for final plan approval shall be followed.
Yeah, that could be if someone wants to, I've had cases where people come in and they want to swap, two neighbors want to swap a lot line. Well, according to state law, you still have to come in and get approval by the planning board. So something minor like that, or they might want to change might want to do something in the open space or change the configuration or do something minor, but it's not new lots or dwelling units. We don't want them to have to go through the whole submittal process and 2 meetings for that.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we did have a thing like this, it was actually on Tricky Pond Road where they just moved the lot line, right? So
Yeah.
that had been in a major subdivision, but since all they were doing was
Was
moving
changing
the
lot lines, it should be a
They
one
actually
and done.
moved a lot, okay.
Yeah, it should be a one and done meeting.
Okay,
I've had cases where people want to merge lots, they want to have less lots in a subdivision,
yeah,
so that should be a one and done
Yeah,
meeting.
there's one
Yeah.
town where you,
Yeah.
to do that, you have to resubmit the whole plan, bring the whole entire subdivision up to current standard
oh gosh.
to make this simple change. It's just not,
It's too onerous.
it's too much, when
Yeah.
it's, sometimes it's to the benefit of everybody.
Right.
I've had a couple times where it's actually better. You know,
Yeah,
it's a better result, so why would you make them go through all
why go
that?
through the whole, yeah.
And the third one is scope of review. The scope of review shall be limited to the proposed changes in the minor or major subdivision plan and any related impacts or ordinance.
I wanted to add, I was gonna just stop at subdivision plan, but I think I've heard a lot of concern with the planning board, like when they're redeveloping a subdivision, like what we're doing right now, where you're now creating 7 lots on 1 lot. I wanted to give the planning board the authority to ask for additional information. Or if there's ordinance that has been passed, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because you talked about cumulative effect
Right.
of, we've got a subdivision with how many lots that are 10 acres, if every single lot wants to do 7 lots on it,
Right. Changes everything.
it changes
really.
stormwater, so you can go
Really.
back and look at stormwater,
Yeah.
watershed, and all those other issues and give them ability. However, I don't want to go through a rabbit hole where they're doing a minor change. We're just looking at this change, not the entire subdivision, just
Right.
this change. And if this change might have an impact on stormwater, then you can go and ask for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if the wording is perfect.
Because if they
though.
are, in these cases, they're really creating brand-new subdivisions
Yeah.
within an
Yeah,
existing
they're amending a subdivision by creating a new subdivision. Now, what gives me some comfort is that because they're creating a new subdivision,
Yeah.
if they're doing 1 lot, that's one thing, but if they're creating a new subdivision, they're doing the entire review
Right.
again.
Right.
So in some cases, you could actually make the argument that there's actually more treatment going on because they're taking an old subdivision and now the new subdivision is meeting the new standards, which is getting a level of review that the old subdivision never got. So,
Okay. Does anybody have any other comments on these changes or additions?
Nope. We done with that one?
I guess so. I've lost my agenda. I've never had
There's
such
so many
a help.
pages.
Height dimensional standards.
And this one we talked about, and everybody was in agreement that it should be 35 in all zoning districts. And part of that is, obviously, there's things that are over 35, those are grandfathered. But part of it was also because of the new law that was passed and signed by the governor about affordable housing being able to be 12 feet higher than what your underlying zoning district is. So that means when, at 55, they could now have a 67-foot building. And I think most of you thought that that wasn't necessarily what was desired.
26, page 26.
Well, first we'll start, now we're adding a definition of building height, which I guess we never
Yes.
had before, so that's in the definition.
That's in the definitions section.
So we have a definition that says vertical distance measured from the average elevation of the proposed finished grade at the front of the building to the highest point of the roof. Height requirements do not apply to flagpoles, chimneys, transmission towers, steeples, windmills, or similar structures usually erected at a greater height than the principal building. However, such accessory structure or appurtenances require a lot line setback distance of no less than its height. I wonder if we should add to that, height requirements do not apply to, add like, what Larry and I have talked about, like,
Mechanical
mechanical
systems.
systems on the roofs.
Yep.
Roofs.
Hold on a second, let me find where I'm at.
It doesn't have a page number, it just, it looks very different than the
In
others.
the packet, the packet.
There you go.
It's next in line past 46.
Yep.
Got it?
Says section 400 definitions.
So we just need to add
Far back.
Whose pages?
It's
I
almost
know.
to the end of the packet.
windmills,
Probably 3 or 4
comma,
pages. No pages,
comma,
really nice.
mechanical,
Me-
what do I call them, mechanical,
Yeah, well, I took all that stuff out,
call them
so
mechanical.
keep
Are
going.
they appurtenances?
That's the end of it.
Appurtenances.
We're gonna-
We'll show these.
Past page 46.
Oh,
Mechanical systems.
That's it.
We could do that one first,
Okay.
actually, because that's.
Because that's the thing you're most likely
Likely
to
gonna
have.
have, mechanical systems.
Does not apply to mechanical systems, comma, flagpoles.
And some of this is your existing definition. You guys already exempted some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Page number, I thought.
Mechanical systems needs to be added.
Does everybody have the definition?
Yep.
And everyone's okay with adding mechanical systems
Yep.
as an exemption?
I'm fine with adding that, I don't have the page yet.
There's
There is no page
on it,
number.
and it
Yeah,
looks
there's
totally
no page on
different than
any of the
Getting
things
close,
that's under
I think.
definitions. It's after, well,
Section 400 definitions.
Was
it looks like this.
was it before
It's pretty far back.
the whole subdivision stuff?
It's just before the subdivision section.
Okay.
Hopelessly.
Just find,
I don't know now because my
the
page.
first page is 11 for definitions, and then there's no pages, numbers.
Yeah, I think what happened is because there's a table of contents, when I made edits, it did some kind of renumbering.
I
Oh,
did
yes,
the
yeah,
wrong
there
path,
was.
because I shifted everything around early on, and then,
Yes, there were other pages too.
It's the top left is bolded, section 400 definition. Okay.
Because we say that rooftop equipment shall be concealed from the ground, you're gonna have an additional structure to conceal them.
you're getting close now.
You're saying that if you would have to have like some sort of ornamentation or something to hide the mechanical
Exactly.
systems.
Oh, so then you just say mechanical systems and its screening, or whatever.
Yeah.
are exempt.
Enclosure.
Enclosure. or
Enclosure, mechanical systems.
How about enclosed mechanical systems will not be considered at the height of the building?
Screened or enclosed
Yeah.
mechanical systems.
Yeah. Because they all.
And that's
need to be
taken care of in site plan. We
Right.
talk about,
That they have to be screened or
Screened.
enclosed.
no, I think we can say screened.
Yeah,
Because
just say
we don't
screened.
typically enclose,
Enclosed
would be a little
implies like the
mixed-
whole thing is in a
mixed-
box or something and
Right.
it needs to be
I mean,
ventilated.
HVAC is not meant to be enclosed.
Enclosed, so
Right,
screened
screened.
mechanical systems,
Cupola?
I think works.
Cupola?
Yeah, what about
It
a
says
cupola?
towers, oh no,
That's-
transmission, steeples, windmills.
I think, I'm not super worried about this because we're reducing it by 20
Yeah.
feet everywhere, do you know?
Or similar structures,
Yeah.
it says. I think the whole point of this, well, there's 2 points. I mean, 55 feet by and of itself
It's
is really
tall.
very tall. And then with this change in the state, we don't want
Yeah.
70-foot structures.
Yeah.
So
55
the
is
reason
tall.
that it's 55 feet, if I remember historically, is
Ladder
that
truck?
the casino
Yeah.
is 55 feet high, or what you might know as Rick's Cafe.
Right.
And so I think that, however this is worded, I want to make sure that that building needs preservation.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, if they have to
Oh, nobody's,
restore it.
yeah, we
right,
don't ever.
they may have to do some work to that
Yeah.
building. And if they do, I don't want them to be prohibited by this.
Or if there's a fire and they want to build it back the same way.
Right,
Yes.
because that building, as it sits today, would probably have to be elevated because of the flood markers. So I'm kind of inherently in tune to this topic. So just what is going to be required to meet the state flood marker height for ground level, and then
Add
the
to that.
55. I just want to make sure the language in here supports the maintenance of one of the most important buildings in our town.
Yeah, I think that if that were to be lost in a fire or otherwise has to be rebuilt or maintained, that's just a building permit. The floodplain, you would definitely have an impact if they had to elevate that by 2 feet or whatever it is. Then would they be able to make it 2 feet taller if they rebuilt it within the time frame that's allowed for nonconformance? Let me go to nonconformance and see how it's written real
I
quick.
just don't want to make it
Yeah.
such an obstacle that they
Yeah.
decide not to do it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, let's go to
Because if, God
nonconformance.
forbid, something happens to that
Yeah.
building, it's going to be a big project.
Yeah, oh yeah,
One that we'd like to see somebody take on.
conformance.
Well, we could be as specific and say that current historical buildings are exempt
Oh, yeah.
from the height requirement.
I
Because
think
I
that that's-
hesitate to say that all buildings would be exempt, but something like that.
Historical,
Yeah.
the other one that is probably higher than 35 feet is
Can maintain their.
the brick building on the corner of Lamb's Mills, Lake House and 302, and then the white building on the corner of that, and the Augustus Bovo, or the, whatever they're calling it now is. Hawthorne is probably higher. I'm trying to think, and the barn,
With its cube.
would be, Dan LaJoy's property. So, and you could set a year on what makes it historic, I guess. There's been no new additions to any of these old buildings in that amount of time, in what, the past 10 years. It would just be nice to try to maintain what we've got.
Right.
So non-conforming height limit, when our structure contains a portion that is non-conforming in its height at the time of the adoption of this ordinance, the height of the remaining portion of the building may be increased so long as the expansion does not extend further than the existing height of the structure. So I think that they're covered as far as they could build it back to 55 if they had to elevate
It's gonna
it.
have to be higher.
Higher.
If what
Yeah.
Skip said,
Yeah.
that it was set at 55 because that was the height of that building, then it's gonna have to be higher because of the flood marker.
Non-conforming structure can be expanded, repaired, maintained, or improved, subject to the provisions of this section.
Should
Can you say
probably
something to the effect that
about
variance can be-
historical structures.
For variance for.
I hate to say historical.
buildings
We
can
don't
be-
have,
Because we don't have we don't have a list of
and
what's
none of these
historical.
buildings have a
our
technical historical designation.
register,
Can
yeah.
we say a variance may be submitted for historical buildings?
Well, they can apply for a variant, anybody can apply for a variance, so, and they could potentially qualify under the hardship criteria because they have to meet the floodplain, right?
Right.
So
They would just need to go-
they're building back a non-conforming structure
Right.
that isn't, the building itself isn't gonna be any taller than it already was. They're just having to meet the new flood elevation.
Okay.
That could work. I think that there's some common sense in here as well. They're not trying to make the building more non-conforming, they're just meeting
Understand.
a new standard. I hate to say this excludes historical structures because I don't even know what the historical
that's
list of
true, too.
structures are here. And I hate to just pinpoint those two, because there might be other ones, like the church steeple is higher, which kind of is exempted, but there could be people with barns that are higher than 35 feet, I don't know, you know. So I hate to just limit it to excluding historical.
So we're really just talking about whether or not they need to be built higher because of new
Floodplain.
floodplain. So could we add a bullet then to something somewhere that just says, buildings are permitted to
Well,
exceed the.
what if we went with something along the line of new construction is limited to, and previously constructed,
Existed.
previous existing can be maintained and repaired to existing height.
But you're talking about exceeding that's the whole rub here, because they can already. They could already repair and maintain to existing height, that's allowed, but you're saying they would have to go larger.
No, I guess I'm just thinking of some barns in town, if they
Are taller.
burned down,
Yeah.
that they could be reconstructed to their current existing height.
I hate to
So it
create,
allows for that already.
I hate to
Where?
create
By
tons of
saying-
new non-conformance, that's the other thing too.
It's not new nonconformance,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
existing, previously
But
existing.
all of our ordinances, you can repair or maintain or replace to existing conditions, right?
right.
So that wouldn't, so if a barn burned down and they don't need to build it they don't need to build it higher because it's not in a floodplain, it can be built to a
The same.
non-conforming height, to whatever it
Yeah.
was before. So this is just a question of, for a structure that would have to be built higher because.
Because of some state.
Some new
Yeah.
standard.
Right.
I think it should be solid and not subjective to having to get approval to rebuild.
Well, then I think then the bullet that says somewhere, I don't know where, we have to put it in each
That's what I'm trying
section,
to
that would
figure
just
out.
say,
Maybe dimensional standards for new construction, you know, is there some way for the height?
well, you wouldn't want it to just apply to new construction though
Yeah.
either, because you don't
Yeah.
want somebody to turn their 30-foot building into
To
a 70-foot building.
Exactly.
No, I'm
Highest
saying
point
that,
of the roof, if you go from highest point of the roof, oh shoot,
Oh, but we're talking about, actually, though, that you're right, now that you said that, the way that we've defined it, we're starting
Yeah.
the vertical distance measured from the average elevation of the finished grade. So the finished grade, if you have to raise it for 2 feet, you're starting at the finished grade of the building to the top. So the building could still be 55 feet.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
you're gonna love this next thing that's coming out.
Oh, boy.
Is what is finished grade, because I just have seen a building being constructed where the new finished grade is about 15 to 20 feet higher than the original finished grade. So what is determining the finished grade? Is it what I want it to be so that I can now have a second story that's above tree level?
Yeah, because now you can have a view.
So what is finished grade?
What is acceptable finished grade?
That was a topic I was going to bring up here today on this height. Because I saw somebody get very creative. I thought, that is extremely creative. Look at that. That is
Yeah,
going
that
to
would
look
be
very
piece
different
available.
so
from
what
the
are they,
rest of
well,
the
you're saying that
building.
they just created a mound and they built their house on this mound, so wouldn't that be?
Or they
Which I'm
elevated the
sure that the
house?
mound had to be created to some extent due to a flood marker. However, it's probably double what's required by the flood marker.
She's
Get the
grabbing
height
Randy.
For the view.
Just,
Was this in Naples? You're not saying.
Not saying.
I guess it was.
She's trying to get Randy to see if he has any ideas.
I just think it's
Well, I mean,
something we need to think about. I'm got Martinez hat here on for a minute.
So I think we're just trying to find a way though that, the floodplain thing.
Let me know that Randy is doing it.
Mr. Thurston is
Morning, folks.
Okay.
What do we got?
Let AI note that Randy Thurston, the code enforcement officer, just joined the
We're,
meeting.
we're trying to create a definition for building height. And the definition says, the height is measured from the average elevation of the proposed finished grade at the front of the building to the highest point of the roof. And Sue brought up a point that what if someone were to want to raise the finished grade so they get a view?
Created a mound, if
And
you
so
will.
created a mound or post and piers or whatever it is to make their finished grade higher just so they could have a view. And now the actual structure still meets the 35-foot height requirement.
So
for-
shoreline zoning,
yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Well, we're
it could
talking
be
about
anywhere.
anywhere.
We could change the
Anywhere.
height for all buildings outside of the shoreline zone to be just 35
5
feet.
feet. We're not fooling around with shoreline zoning today. We're actually in just Naples land use right now. So there's one point. We're only changing the definition in land use right now because shoreline's more restrictive.
Yeah, that's
So we're
already.
not dealing with shoreland at all right now.
Right,
How do
But
you-
is there, when you issue a building permit, if someone wants to bring in 10 loads of dirt so they can make their lot higher, there's nothing that,
I mean, in most building science things that we do, you want your building raised for drainage to
Right.
get the water away. I mean, the amount of that happening is relative and to your project, I guess, but as long as you stay under that height, I mean, that's a weird situation that, yeah. That's a tough one. So, I mean, the shoreline zoning stuff all says average grade on the downhill side,
yeah.
which leaves a bunch of interpretation there for me, basically, but that's how I always peg it on that. But I understand what the question is here, because, yeah,
What happens if
you got
someone?
35 feet if you're at this grade, but if you mound it up
Now
10
you're-
feet.
and then go to 35 feet,
Now
you're
it's a
at
lot taller.
45 feet.
Building.
I think in our regular land use ordinance, I'm not super worried about it, because once again, we're dropping the height by 20 feet already. But in shoreland, where people are obviously wanting to,
Well, you
Right.
can't bring in all that fill either. There's so many other restrictions.
I'm gonna say that you're not gonna have that problem a lot because it costs money. To raise your land that much and have a stable building platform, that's gonna cost you way more extra money to compact all that earth, to anything significant. I mean, you got a few loads and you're bringing it up a foot, that's one thing. But 10 feet, you gotta compact and you gotta do all kinds of things, which isn't the trend these days. It's quick and dirty these days.
so I guess the question is do you have the authority? Most people are just raising it to meet the floodplain elevation, so their finished floor is above the
Yeah.
floodplain. So that's what most normal people are doing. If someone came in and wanted to do something outrageous, like add 5 feet or 10 feet so that they can make do you have the authority to say that's not reasonable in the shoreland zoning district?
Well, in the shoreline zone,
Yeah.
They can't bring the
Yeah.
material in.
Yeah,
I mean, even on any land,
Yeah.
I would think that I would have authority to say, no, you're gonna exceed the building height in town by jacking your land up that much. And they would have to make a very good case of why they were doing it.
if it was a drainage issue or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Why do we think it's necessary to lower it from 55 feet in the first place?
Because 55 feet is tall.
I know it's
There ain't no
tall,
other
but like,
towns around.
Well,
like,
because when the state's new law kicks in, it's gonna be 70 feet. That's why. Because that will be the new law, that somebody can build a structure.
67. I think it's 12 feet over.
No.
It's a
like there's
15.
gonna be a state law saying 70 feet?
50, yeah.
There's a state law saying that 15 feet over whatever
Ever.
your zoning district allows.
No.
If it's really, yeah.
Can
Then I
you share
cut
with
the
us
blocks
how,
of views of everybody. If
What-
there's a lot in front of your property.
what height?
Oh, they can go
how
70
many
feet up.
floors is a 35-foot high building? I don't have a clear
It's-
vision of that.
It's about 3.
Yeah.
But there's many different ways. I mean, if the building has a daylight or, I mean, they generally say 10 feet a story. So 35 will give you a little bit extra for the roof
For the
peak
pitch.
kind of distance and
Yeah,
stuff.
3
I
feet
looked up a
from,
typical a 2-story hip roof colonial in New England is typically around 25 feet. If you're going to a hip roof 3-story, you're looking at around 35 feet.
Yeah, pretty much.
how we went down this rabbit hole, Randy, is that, one of my concerns is just to make sure that when and if the casino, the Bricks Cafe ever has to be rebuilt. I think that Skip Meeker said that the reason we're at 55 feet in the town of Naples is that's the height of that building.
That's what I've heard, and that seems reasonable, because
And
it's definitely.
so
So we're trying to
if-
protect.
So if we
him
go to
if he needs to
35 and then you
rebuild
can
it.
go
God
17
forbid that
feet
building
higher.
has to be rebuilt from scratch for whatever reason, or let's say they want to rebuild it.
He would
They're
be
gonna-
grandfathered,
Well, they're gonna have to meet they're gonna have
even
to
if
meet-
your ordinance changes, that's what
That's
exists.
what I thought. Or we could just have a bullet that says, if buildings need to exceed this height due to floodplain requirements, they are
But
exempt.
the building itself.
Oh, that's
isn't-
what I was gonna say.
The
Yeah,
building
yeah.
itself,
So
yeah.
floodplain, when that's involved,
Because now it's gonna be higher,
your
that's
grade
the
is considered
situation.
from the lowest floor member after the base flood elevation.
Yeah.
So even though your grade's down, if you need to lift it 2 feet to get to the BFE,
Yeah.
that's where your height starts.
Oh, all right, so there
Okay.
is no issue.
So
then.
it's,
Then
because
it
that
would be
building's gonna have to go up. If they rebuild that from scratch,
Right.
it's gonna have to meet the marker.
And something like that, I would say, we'll try to keep it minimal.
But so,
grades.
but what you're saying is the law is that it will be measured from that new height that is required.
Yes.
that
If
new-
you have to raise your
Okay.
floor system to meet the BFE,
Okay.
that's where your
That
height starts.
Okay.
Because
So
it's
then
not
everything
fair
is fine.
to say, this is your
Right.
grade down here, but you have to lift the building up. Now you can only go
Okay.
Yeah.
with a
Makes
20-foot
sense.
building
You gotta try
instead
to
of
make it 2 feet
25,
tall
even
or
though we made
shorter.
you lift it 5 feet.
That makes
Well,
sense.
so that answers all the questions and concerns.
Yeah, where were you 15 minutes ago?
Right over there.
Right over there, that's where we got them.
That was very helpful. Thank
And
you.
I'm actually dealing with a building that needs to be jacked up for new supports on it about 35 feet from the pond, and the people are questioning the permits.
Yeah.
Why do I need a survey? Why do I need this? Why do I need that? Well, you're raising the height possibly, you're doing all kinds of things, so we need to know. We need to know the location and that you're not scooching it closer as you re-support the building or,
So what you're saying is if someone's elevating a house, there needs to be a reason. There's a reason that
If they're forced.
it's either floodplain.
if the
Or-
height is a factor.
Yeah,
So 25, 30 feet from the water, height is a factor,
Yeah.
so that would be. If you're up on the hill and you want to raise it a foot and you're not getting even close to the 35, then
Yeah.
I don't care.
right.
Jack it up, do what you need to do, but,
And we're dealing strictly with outside of shoreline zoning right now.
Anyway. But, so our concern was floodplain and its potential impact on a reconstruction of the Bricks building, but it sounds like anything from the ground up wouldn't be held against them. That doesn't get counted if you have to
right.
raise for floodplain.
Whenever they made all those rules, they took that
Okay.
into consideration. Like,
Okay.
we can't make people lift it, but then restrict their height to,
Okay.
small increments, because we made them lift it.
Okay.
So then when we go back to the building height ordinance that we have here, to the highest point of from the average elevation of the proposed finished grade. So the way that's worded, do you have the ability to restrict the mounding situation to create?
Like I said, I believe I would if somebody was trying to do it that extreme,
Yeah,
where, where the heights were coming into play.
all right.
But generally, it costs people too much money to do something like that.
And is there a provision in Naples where if you bring in more than a certain amount of fill, that it has to go to planning board?
Well, there's DEP provisions where
Yeah.
you start bringing in so much fill,
Yeah.
so that might touch on that.
I don't know about here, but I know in some towns, if you bring in more than a certain amount of cubic yards, you're triggering a planning board permit instead of just a building
Yeah,
permit.
I don't think we have
We
that
don't have
ordinance
that.
We don't
specific
have
to
that,
Naples,
okay.
but DEP does have it once you start bringing in certain amounts of
Okay.
material.
We need somebody from code.
Come in.
All right,
All right.
Got it.
Thank you, Randy.
all right, you guys are good?
I think so,
We're good?
yeah.
All right, I'm
Thank
right
you.
there.
Very helpful.
Thank you.
Let AI show that Randy was very helpful.
Thank you for that.
Okay. But so the other thing Larry and I both pointed out to each other and you, is that there's another reference to the 55 feet in all of these sections for back lots, so
Yeah.
those need to be changed to
Yeah.
35 as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Okay.
missed that.
In the,
So, other-
So in every zoning district
Every
where it says
back
back
lot.
lots, back lots need to be 35 as well.
yeah,
so, we got the definition,
and then just the changes
Then-
of all the 55s to 35.
Okay.
I looked at all the towns around us and nobody's even close to 55. There are some, obviously there's some of the bigger towns that in their growth areas or in their urban areas, they have higher than that, but most towns limit it to 35. Some of that's related to the height of their tower, their ladder truck. Some of them do it based on that as well.
Well, I
But
think
55 is pretty high,
Our ladder truck also was an impact on that too.
yeah.
Okay, does anybody have any other comments on any of the height discussions? Either the definition or the actual? Okay, did we get that? So cell tower definition, we don't have that.
I think we need to wait and do this all at the same time. Under standards for cell phone towers, because I was poking around and I added Sebago's ordinance, and then I added the state definitions, and they don't just say wireless communication tower. They go into defining tower separately, antennas separately. They talk about, some of them talk about monopoles versus and guidelines. I mean, it just seems like something that we need to do comprehensively all at one time. We ran the last cell phone tower under commercial towers, which is what we have in our ordinance right now. I think that we're going to have to look at defining things separately. We've got, we have telecommunications facility. They do a separate definition for height related to towers. It just seems like we're gonna, Sebago managed to do it in, 2 pages, which is pretty short. I also want to look and see how current each one of these are, because their state sample is pretty old. So I think we want to find a town that's pretty current. I don't think we want to be as complicated as York is. York and Gray's is overly complicated as well. I thought it was just ridiculous. It's like 5 or 6 pages. I think we need to come up something Naples specific, and I think there's going to be more than just one definition. I think leaving it under commercial towers for now is probably fine, because I don't think anybody's going to be running here to do another commercial tower between now and May. We haven't even got permits for the one that we approved yet.
Yeah, what's the status of that?
Yeah, they're working on, there's one last permitting hurdle that they have through the feds, is what's going on with that. So I'm not super concerned about it, and I would rather just do it at the same time, because I think making a definition might end up being a definition that we have to change later.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay. So we're tabling that one?
We're pushing that down to the next,
Yeah, under 4, we'll have standards.
Four, right.
Yeah, you'll see 4 things that we'll be working on, September through February.
There's one more thing that's not listed on the agenda on that top section, because you guys had already talked about it and kind of said, yes, add it. And that was the provision to allow the code officer to not issue permits on lots that have violations. And that's in there. And I put it in both shoreland and regular land use. And you guys had already agreed that you thought that was a good idea, and that had come up because we've had several lots where they have permits that aren't completed or there's violations. And we wanted to give the code officer, it's matching the language of the state law, the ability to say, we're gonna deny this permit because you already have violations on your lot.
Yeah, so it's in 2 sections. It's in the shoreland zone one, and then it's on page 6 of procedures for administering permits.
And we used the word may. When I talked to Randy yesterday, he thought maybe we should put shall in the shoreland zoning to give it more teeth, but leave it as may in the land use. And the reason why is because he might feel that it's appropriate to give someone a shed permit. You know what I mean? If they have an existing violation on their lot, it gives them a little bit more leeway in the regular land use ordinance. But in shoreland, that's where we're dealing with this the most, is where we've got violations, existing violations, and we really don't want to be issuing permits. We want to have the authority to deny permits until they resolve their issues.
Okay.
And so he thought that shall in the shoreland gives him more authority, and it makes it feel like he's not being selective. It's like, you shall resolve this before you get another permit, but he wanted input from you guys too.
So does everybody know see where those two things are? So it
Yeah,
reads the code enforcement officer or the planning board shall have the authority to deny the issuance of a permit or suspend or revoke permit to the owner or occupant for further development of the land
Yep.
on which a violation has occurred until the violation is removed, abated, or otherwise corrected, and any penalties and court-awarded costs are paid. And that's for shoreland, so there's the shall. And then the other one, for general land uses, the code enforcement officer may deny the issuance of a permit or suspend or revoke a permit of the owner or occupant for further development of the land on which a violation occurred until the violation is removed, abated, or otherwise corrected, and any penalties and court-awarded fees are paid.
And part of that is also we have a 30-day time limit to issue a permit. So the person could say, oh, well, I'm gonna fix that, or whatever. Well, within that 30 days, he needs to deny or issue the permit. So this way, he can say, you know what, I'm denying it on the basis of this. And then if they come back and they resolve it within 30 days, he can say, you know what, okay, I'll issue it now. But it just gives him a little bit more authority in writing. There's already a state statute for shoreland zoning, so we're kind of echoing what the state already says we can do, but it's codifying it in our own language, so when someone says, well, you can't do that, we can say, well, actually, we can. And we're not trying to be heavy-handed, but there's sometimes we just don't have any sticks or carrots for, we have a limited legal budget, so there's the stick, and we don't have a carrot saying, well, if you want your permit, you need to fix that. So it gives the town just a little bit of authority to get, or leeway to get something done.
Does anybody have any comments or concerns about that? Okay. All right, so that's good.
So that's all we have for the upcoming election. So I think at that point, with the changes that we talked about, you guys should talk about maybe a motion to move those forward to the select board meeting, which is on the September 8th.
So,
Yes.
the planning board's already going to have their first public hearing on this on September 2nd.
Second.
So
Yes.
I cannot be at that planning board meeting.
Yeah.
You're going,
the chair, vice chair.
who would, I don't think we have, that's what I brought up last time. I can't, nobody remembers if we chose a vice chair or if they are the vice chair. So I don't, can somebody from this board, or maybe we should choose a vice chair, and can then that person attend the September 2nd planning board meeting, and then offer any edification to the planning board? And I would like to nominate Craig.
I've got so
Me
much
too.
going on with the rec thing, I don't want to,
You don't want
He's
to?
got too much
I'd
going
rather
on.
yeah, I appreciate the confidence.
Okay, well, I'll entertain motions for a vice chair of the ordinance review committee. Anybody want to volunteer themselves?
Mark,
Before they're volunteering.
well, the other thing is you could just provide
just-
a written
I can,
recommendation
I could do that too.
as the chair, and I'll be at
You'll
the
go.
meeting.
Okay.
I can try to go. My husband is having major surgery 2 days before that, so I don't know.
Okay.
I can't guarantee based
All right, so I'll write something, and then if you want to go, that's great. But, I mean, so we are all in, so let's take a vote then. We're all in agreement that all the changes that we made
Yeah.
today, we'd like to move forward to the select board and then to public hearings.
I move that we
Yeah.
recommend all the changes that we made today to the select board for their September 8th
Meeting.
meeting.
And the second public hearing on the
And
on
the first
second.
public hearing will be
Yeah.
at the planning board, the second. Do we have a second on that motion?
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Well, that's good news because I already did the advertising.
Yeah, I know.
Because I had to.
We're an agreeable bunch.
Yeah, I put that out yesterday.
Okay, so we see here all the things we know we will be working on in September through February.
Right.
And then there's all these new mandates coming down the pike. And I had signed up to attend these things, and I haven't attended the first
And the
two. And I
last-
think there's a third one. and
The
I-
last one, I think, was yesterday, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it because I didn't have the bandwidth. I had too much to do.
I had all of them on my calendar, and I never did do any of them.
And
but-
another thing about that is I hate spending time before they finish rulemaking.
I know. A lot
Because
of
they'll
it's
probably
common.
change a part of it, so I wasn't super stressed about missing it yesterday.
Oh, did you want to bring that up?
Shannon?
Yeah, so Craig had something he wanted to bring up.
Sure.
Yeah, so
Potential
we
ordinance.
have an ordinance for moorings that allows for a boat and for a swim platform. And I was wondering if we can consider the second mooring also being for personal watercraft under 12 feet in length, either or.
So you're proposing to add a mooring ordinance change?
Just, yes, just an addition
That
to
would be
it.
under the marine safety and harbor
Yeah.
master, because that is his purview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I will say is we'll add it to the list, and then before our next, hopefully before our next meeting, I would like to just give an update to the select board of these are the things we're working on.
Okay.
Type of thing.
All right.
And obviously they get the final word, so
Yep.
that's what I will do. I'll give them an update. I'm reporting to them about quarterly on what we're doing. So these are the ones that we've completed. These are the ones that we're
Going
putting
to.
for the but they already know about the NOVA ones, and these are what we're gonna do in the next round. This is what we're working
Yep.
on the next round.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
So our next meeting would be September 17th?
Yeah, that's incorrect on the
Yeah.
bottom. I didn't update it. So September 17th. So the housing, the looking forward, that housing opportunity program, I just wanted to put it on your radar. A lot of it's related to affordable housing, most of it is. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't read, and the one that just jumped out at me was the number of dwelling units. That's so that you can do more multifamily without triggering subdivision. Right now, the third dwelling unit triggers subdivision review. Now, if you do a development on one lot, and it's got 5 dwelling units, you're not triggering subdivision, but you're still triggering site plan, right? You're still gonna be going to the planning board, but it gives them one less hurdle. There's some other things in that. I haven't even looked at 997 and 427. I've only looked at 1829. But just want to get that on your radar, and it looks like the deadline for towns with selects boards will be June 2027 to implement whatever they come out of rulemaking with. So we'll see. I understand what they're trying to do. To be honest with you, I don't know that it's been that effective yet. I don't see a ton of affordable housing happening. I only see developers maximizing their properties by adding ADUs, but we'll see what happens. The other thing that I have a little bit of concern about is I think they're slowly eroding home rule.
That we're what?
Slowly eroding home rule, by coming down with these state mandates saying thou shalt do this. And sometimes this doesn't work in every town, the same way in every town, but we'll see. We'll see.
We were talking about historic buildings before. Why don't we ask the Historic Society to make a list of things that they have considered really important to Naples history? And we can work from that.
It's a good idea. We can get the list of historic register, which ones are on, if any, and we probably can get that from them. It's sometimes easier just to ask, right? Get the list of historic register, and then if there's anything missing.
Well, there are sometimes buildings that should be on, but they have people not to put them on.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, sometimes they don't want them on there,
that's right.
because then they have to, when they
Meet
maintain
standards.
maintenance becomes more than maintenance.
Someone tells you what color you have to paint
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
Different.
One thing I want to go to the select board with, and I'm going to do, is the intersection of 114 and 302. With all these crosswalks there, it is really almost impossible to get out sometimes to make a left turn.
Yeah.
So what needs to be done, need to stripe the 302 with a box, and a couple signs, one on each side, don't block the box.
Yeah.
I've seen them in other towns.
Yeah.
Because what happens, people come, and even though the traffic's all stopped, they pull all the way up so you can't pull out. Some people are nice and they leave it and say, go ahead.
Yeah.
Perfect time to make a left turn. But other times, they just can't wait to not lose 50 feet, or let people from 114 onto 302.
Are you talking about when you're pulling out of 114?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, you can't really see though
Yeah.
if you're stopped behind the crosswalk.
right, right.
That's
But
what I
if
think.
they have, if it's stopped, traffic is stopped, when you can see that, and nobody's in the box, you can pull out and make sure you make a safe left turn. Because
Right.
right now, it's hazardous to make a
But,
left turn.
yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
and if someone stops for the crosswalk, instead of having it queue all the way through the intersection, people would stop
Stop, right, don't
behind
block
the
the box.
blocks, yeah.
What are you referring to as the box? I don't follow.
And
When
Gray's a terrible example because it's still a horrible intersection, but there is a box where you can't block Center Road. So if you're pulled up to the light, it's cross-hatched. So you're supposed to stop here so that people can still turn, make turning movements instead of having it block the whole intersection.
Okay.
It's really just paint. It would be definitely something that you would bring to the select board, and the select board would be going to MDOT because it's their jurisdiction and you don't have an urban compact here. But yeah, I hear what you're saying, because I happened to be last night. And everybody's lined up and the poor guy can't take a turn even though traffic stopped. Yeah.
The other thing is that if they're gonna stripe, if you were coming from the bridge towards Bridgeton, right there, across from Rex, if they would stripe that white right there, because what happens is that, okay, traffic stopped, you pull out of 114, you have to carefully pull into the median because the guy that stopped over here, the oncoming is gonna pass them. And then they get mad that you're there
Yeah,
when they're not supposed to pass on the causeway.
Causeway. Yeah.
But if that were striped there would be a little more teeth there to that, and people would be like, maybe they would stay behind that stopped vehicle. Because
Right.
probably what's happening is that person has stopped traffic and they've waved you on and you're going, because there's no chance you're getting out if they don't.
Yeah.
And, that car behind is just in such a hurry, they won't wait. That's happened to me, that they get in behind me and then they're freaking out.
Yeah.
Well, the guy just let me go, you're not supposed to pass.
They shouldn't be passing anywhere on this. Even when I take my turn into town hall in the morning, people are passing me on the right.
Yeah.
A, those are parking spots, and B, what if there's a biker or a pedestrian that's not quite on the sidewalk? And a lot of that can be done with paint, instead of huge road changes. But I think that that's a great idea, but that would be select board, and then MDOT would have to sign off on any striping changes.
Maybe right after the barn, we could get one of those signs, I've seen them in other towns, it's a cone, says no passing.
Yeah.
Just an additional reminder to people, that would be state probably, but
Yeah.
it might help with that. Because putting a light in there is just gonna be
Yeah, it would be brutal.
ridiculous, I think.
No, but I could see a traffic cop, or traffic, directing traffic or whatever for like 6-7 weeks of the year.
And all-
Friday, Saturday,
yeah,
Sunday or
times,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because, oh my word, it's
It's
almost
hard.
impossible to make a left
You're
turn.
gonna rely on pedestrians stopping
Yeah,
the traffic
yeah.
and the crosswalk.
But there's a lot to look at and,
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
distraction.
I mean, I had it the other day, I was going through and I stopped because of the fact that there was a car in front of me that stopped because people were going in the crosswalk. And this guy came out of 114, didn't even stop, just was coming right up and was right next to my car. And I just looked over and I was like, and he's going like this to me and I'm like, really? I'm stopped because there's people in the crosswalk.
yeah.
Yeah. So on another topic, the Comprehensive Plan Committee right now is working on land use, and again, there's a PowerPoint you can look at with notes on the town website. I'm sharing this for you and for all the hundreds of people that I know are gonna watch this meeting. Just to let
She's
them
funny,
know
yeah.
that we're working on that.
The Nielsen rating.
Yeah, and please also, we have the focus areas, and we're working on our vision statement, and there is an opportunity on the website, under the comprehensive plan,
To comment.
to have input, and we would love to have input on that. It's a draft version right now, but eventually it's gonna be the final version of the
So
vision.
it's on the Naples website, you can hyperlink to it?
There's a link from the Naples website to outside link, which is the Barry Dunn page with all of the materials. We would love to have people respond to that.
Okay,
Great. Does anybody else have anything else? Okay, so,
move adjourn.
yep, second, all in favor?
All right.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you, LRTV.